What's up, people? LK back at you here with another video game playthrough with live unscripted commentary. Today's game is NBA 2K15 for the PlayStation 4, and this is the MyPLAYER or MyCAREER, whatever the hell they call it now, with me, myself, my created player, and my team is the Minnesota Timberwolves, unfortunately. Through a lot of hard work and dedication, we have turned them into a contender. This is game 2 of, I want to say, the semifinals, the NBA playoffs here, conference finals. So they've amassed a pretty good record, and we are fighting for our chance to get in the actual championship series. And this is me, good old LK at the line here. Let's see if we can knock down the freebies. And felt like, what the hey, I'm gonna get on here, show off a little 2K here. When I say show off, I mean that very facetiously. My 2K skills are not exactly outstanding by any stretch of the imagination. I'm good enough to be decent and have fun with this game, but never do I claim to be a whiz at it or one of the best players ever or any kind of crap like that. I'll leave that dubious distinction for the rest of you guys, you basketball scholars and video game wizards alike. Me, I just like to fire it up once in a while, have a good time with it, and I'm really impressed with the MyPLAYER version of this year's game, especially with the facial scan feature. I really hated that thing with a passion at first because I just couldn't get it to work. I watched a couple tutorials where people were saying, you know, the more light the better. It's impossible to use too much light. So I actually brought my studio lights in here and fired everything up that way. And I said, hey, I'm gonna get every nook and cranny of my face, every concave, freaking microscopic measurement, whatever you want to call it. And it ended up being way too much light. My face ended up looking like the abominable snowman or something like that. So had to dim the lights a little bit. Again, we were talking studio quality lights here, and it was just too much. So dim those a little bit. I finally found the happy medium, and the end result actually is not too shabby, especially from a distance. I think it really captured my likeness pretty well. Sometimes when it's all up in his face a little bit, obviously you can tell there's still a ways to go with getting the technology as accurate as possible, but as it stands right now, I'll take the result. Very impressive. Usually whenever I try to create myself in a video game, I end up looking either like a Mexican or an Arab, and nothing wrong with either of those two ethnic groups, but that's not who I am, so it does come off looking rather inaccurate. The face scan feature of this year's game actually really did the job well, so I'm happy with the final result here. As I let Splitter walk right in and score on my big punk ass. And over the years, I've had people ask me, especially people who know me personally, they're like, man, why do you like basketball so much? Not that there's anything wrong with it, you just don't really seem like the type of person to get into the game. I'm a huge horror fan, and if you know me personally, I mean, and the things that I'm about, it would probably surprise you to find that I'm a basketball fan. So to answer that question, well, there's a couple of reasons. Number one, I was a fan of it early childhood. I remember watching the games with my dad and used to have a really good time doing that. Now as I'm older, I think what it is now, the difference between basketball and some of the other sports that I like a lot, which basically boxing and football are my other two. I'm a huge boxing scholar from the old school pugilism days, the glory days of the sport. Love me some historic boxing matches, but that and football, very high impact, very entertaining to me. I think what does it about basketball is actually the game. It's an art form to me. It's very stylistic, and there's something about it. I find a creative outlet in it somehow or another. So there you have it on that. That's why I am a fan of the game. I grew up a college fan. I live in the state of Kentucky. This is a college state. We have no pro teams here, at least none to speak of that I'm aware of, unless you're talking about like minor league pro sports or something like that. But college basketball rules in this state. They're trying to get football going here with Louisville stepping up and doing some good things. But I think, at least for the remainder of this current generation, this is always going to be known as a basketball state with Louisville and Kentucky, two of the most historic programs in the history of the sport. That being the case, me personally, I was never really an NBA fan growing up. Of course I did, I watched Michael Jordan and Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, all the old-time greats, all-time greats, if I can correct myself there. I admired them for their skill and whatnot. It was a pleasure to watch them play because they were so good. That being the case, I never really had a particular NBA team that I rooted for, so I'm able to play this game with no sense of bias. I really don't have a favorite team. That's why it's so easy for me to just create myself on MyPLAYER and play for whatever team I get drafted to, and Minnesota's where I ended up, so that's the hand I'll play. One good thing about it, my boy Gorky Zhang there, drafted out of the 2013 Louisville Cardinal National Championship squad. Had to sneak that in there. I was very proud of that. That was a good night for me. One of the few times where I actually got drunk as a skunk and went downtown and joined the party with thousands of people that I had no idea who they were. Not that it's odd for me to get drunk, it's just odd for me to hang out and party with strangers, and I definitely did that particular night. That was good times. If I had to pick a favorite team these days in the NBA, I think I'd be at a loss. I really don't have one. I usually watch during playoff time, again, just be entertained and admire the skill and whatnot of the players, but I don't really have a team that I root for. Although I will say it was fun watching the Spurs dismantle the Heat last year in the finals. I have nothing against LeBron and Wade and Bosh and those guys. I guess I just got sick of hearing about them for 3 or 4 years and watching a team totally take them apart. That was entertaining, I'm not going to lie. The whole underdog thing, I don't think the people were giving the Spurs too much of a chance. Oh, that was nasty. Even though the Spurs came within an eyelash of winning it the year before, I think the perception was last year they were another year older. The Heat was really gelling, and I just don't think many people gave them a realistic chance to win that series. And when they did it so convincingly, I couldn't help but be a fan of that particular thing. But as I sit here now and I play against the Spurs, I'm not bothered at all to beat the tar out of them if I'm fortunate enough to do that. This is the playoffs, so I expect their best effort here. Showed it. Nice. Good team ball. One thing that's really cool about my guy, this is the end of his second year in the league, and I've got him built up pretty well. I try not to max him out completely because, at that point your guy just becomes too good, and I don't know, the game just doesn't really get fun after that. There's not really anything challenging if you've got a guy who basically plays like he's in God mode constantly. But I do have him built up pretty well to where the other team always considers him a threat, and it doesn't take long for me to score a few points. All of a sudden the defense starts double teaming me. When they do that, I find those are typically the games where my assist numbers go way up. I mean, like Magic Johnson quality stuff. As you saw a second ago, it's really easy to pass out of a double team. If you're getting double teamed, there's always somebody open, generally on the wing, and it's pretty easy to find them in that case. So I'm all about team ball. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I have my games where my guy scores 50 points, but he'll generally have about 10 assists as well, and a whole bunch of rebounds and block shots. So I like being a stat sheet stuffer. My guy's a center. when I very first got turned on to my player mode, I think we're going back to 2K11, whichever one had Michael Jordan on the cover and went the whole Jordan theme. I want to say it was 2K11. First time I'd ever played my player. At that point, I preferred being a swingman. I was a small forward, but now I've settled in on the center spot. I like being the big guy who's a terror down in the post, but can also branch out and be a threat from three. To me, there's a few things more entertaining than a big guy who can play small, but can still, block the hell out of some shots and be a tremendous rebounder. So that's what I aspire to be in the game, and I think my guy's doing a fairly decent job of it. Again, this is not one of the games where I hang my hat and say I'm unbeatable, which I don't know if I even have any games like that, but there are games where, I typically excel and I'm really, really hard to beat. But, yeah, this isn't one that you'll hear me bragging about too often. Coach actually has some positive words for a change. I don't know about anybody else, but I want to gut that guy sometimes. God, he gets on my damn nerves. Always getting up in your face, and it feels like he's egging you on. It's like he wants you to punch him in the face. Doc Rivers is cool, but that made-up assistant coach they have on this game, I want to pull him out of the screen and beat him silly. Yeah. Gorky. Yeah, we'll go ahead and skip up here. And I'm just playing 5 or 6 minute quarters here. I didn't want this video to run too long, because by now I'm sure there's a million videos on this game, and I'm not really giving you anything you haven't seen before. Just some things you maybe haven't heard, which is my senseless random drivel. But you guys have expressed to me in the comments that you don't mind hearing it every now and then, so here I am. This is once again my player mode, and we're trying to win a championship. Got a little ways to go yet, but we are well on our way. We posted a really good record with something like 70-something wins and not very many losses. Stark contrast from my first season in the league. We didn't even make the playoffs that year. So we enjoyed a drastic improvement, and I think we've only lost once in the playoff series so far. So, and it's not this series. It was, what was it? I think it was Golden State was the first team I had to dispatch. I think they did beat me one time. But my guy now has his shoe deal. He's rocking the Air Jordans there. What did I name those things? Game Breakers or something like that. Something silly. Actually a bigger fan of the road colors than I am the home. But yeah, they don't look too bad. Oh, that's a bad shot. Let go of the button way too early there. Tight game. And one cool thing they added on this year's game is the ability to actually be interviewed instead of watching everybody else talk. Typically your guy gets to step up, and not a great example here as they're talking to Coach Rivers, but it's pretty cool when your guy gets interviewed, at least, when you very first get the game. You can be humble, or you can, be an arrogant smartass about it, and it's always good to be humble. Your team chemistry, stays pretty high. If you continue to be well-liked and, your teammates get along with you and stuff like that, your team chemistry, I think right now mine's at 100%, which I don't know if I've ever gotten it up there before. It usually seems to cap out at about 97, 98, and then it just stalls right there. But I believe the last time I looked at it, it was actually 100% now, which is excellent. Yeah. Not too bad. Let's see if we can up those numbers a little bit here. I think normally I play with 9 or 10 minute quarters just because the final score is usually more realistic, and the stats are maybe a little more realistic, so it's easy to get them inflated though and start showing those video game numbers. But wanted to keep it short and decently short here so the video doesn't run too long. And we'll go ahead and skip through all this crap. Sure, everybody has seen the funky cheerleaders out there doing their thing, dance team, whatever.
San Antonio with the ball, trailing by 5. Well, we've got a moment. Let's set the floor.
And once again, I'm not the biggest fan of NBA. I do watch, but the reason I play this game is, in my opinion, there's not a finer basketball game you'll find than the 2K series. EA Sports, I used to play their March Madness game back in the day, and you know, back in the PlayStation 2 days, I think their March Madness game was the best that you could find. I think 2K was still kind of in their infancy stages, and their game still had a little bit of polishing to do, their college hoops game. So I was a loyal fan of March Madness, probably right around until I played College Hoops 2K8 for the PS3. And in my opinion, that's just one of the greatest games of all time. I still play that game. Of course, it's hard going from a game like this to that because the mechanics and things are a little bit outdated, but that game is still a whole lot of fun. It's a really hard game to beat. When I mean beat, I mean as far as topping it with a better game. Stupid play. Yeah, that happens sometimes. Yeah, shake your head like a dumbass. That was a bad pass. But, yeah, I would really like to see 2K resurrect the College Hoops series. I do have a College Hoops upload on here from a couple years ago, where I was Louisville taking on UConn, I believe. And just, yeah, that was one of the greatest games ever. I really miss the College Hoops series. There is a fan movement. Actually, they have a Facebook page and what is it? operationsports.com or whatever that forum is. Can't think of it off the top of my head, but I believe that's right. There's a team that mods out the NBA 2K games for the PC, where they go in and basically hack them and kind of turn them into a college theme, which is fun as well. But you know, there's nothing like having a game that's catered strictly to the college game, like 2K8 was. There was all kinds of detail, and it was just a lot of fun. I really hope they bring it back at some point. I was really ticked at EA when I heard that they had gotten in bed with the NCAA, and much like the NFL, they got that exclusive deal where nobody else could make college basketball games but them. At least that's what I heard. Don't know if that's true or not, but I do know the 2K series went away after that, the college version, which really sucked. Again, really hope they bring it back. There's been some really cool ideas that have been floated around by the fans. You know, maybe stick a college version in with the NBA game, where you actually create your MyPLAYER or start your coaching career or whatever in college, and then rise up and then eventually enter the pros. I think that would be excellent if they could cram all that into one game, but might be asking too much. Who knows? This NBA game here seems pretty stacked. I don't know how much more room they had on a Blu-ray disc, but if they could ever figure out how to do that, I think it would be a great idea. Just cram it all into one game. It would be the ultimate basketball experience. You could even start with your kid in high school and then go to college and then go to the NBA, which might be a little too ambitious, wishful thinking on my part, but would definitely like to see it. And we got a semi-close game here. Going back to the face scan on this game, one thing I'd really like to see them add at some point is a tattoo scan. That would be really cool for those of us who have ink, where we could actually scan our tats and have them, you know, stick them onto our MyPLAYER just to make it that much more accurate. That would be really badass. I'd love to get my Jason Voorhees tattoo on that guy. Call him the Killer or whatever. That would be cool. I don't think I've gotten one block so far this game. That needs to change. Haven't been hanging out in the post too much. Sometimes I find I have a tendency to hang around on the wing, which isn't what a 7'3", 250-pound center should be doing. But since he can shoot the three, oftentimes I'll hang around out there trying to get an open shot. Really, I should be down low, blocking and corralling the misses, but it's a video game. Coach ain't gonna pull me out for too much on here. If this was real life, then I could be a little bit harder on myself, I guess. But whatever you find entertaining, play the game your way. If I give up a shot like that one, part of me feels silly, but another part of me is like, hey, I wouldn't mind having a close game down to the wire. Those are the most fun. That old college hoops game, oh man. I used to have some wars with that one. Could really have some epic moments in that game. As well you can this one. I'm not knocking the NBA series. It's a wonderful game, like I said. It is the, my opinion, the best basketball game you will find anywhere is the NBA 2K series. Really, I don't know too many other basketball games that exist. Don't know if EA still makes their live series or whatever they're calling it now. I don't even know if they're still out there. I've never bothered looking it up, and I'm not at the new game case browsing the new releases enough to know, so. But if they are still making it, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it pales in comparison to this game. And I base that opinion on the previous titles from EA that I've played. Their March Madness series. Oh, wow. Back in the day, it was really great. By the time it hit PlayStation 3, and then they changed the brand, they just started calling it NCAA basketball. By then, oh my goodness, it was just, I thought I was playing a Sega Genesis game at certain times. Beautiful presentation, but everything else just left so much to be desired. And I think the last NBA Live game that I played from EA was probably like 2005 or 6. Probably on my PSP that I had way back in the day. But I had played some previous ones on the PlayStation 2, and they were okay. But 2K has really, really set the bar. They've pushed the envelope, and I just don't think EA is going to catch them as far as quality goes.
Rubio, the pass to Big Daddy. Shot is off. And it's the Spurs taking it the other way. Ginobili outside. Spurs working the ball around now. Splitter misses.
Wasn't the best defense, but it was good enough. Somebody give me a screen. Damn it. Sometimes I get too dunk happy, man. I want to go crazy with that. Don't we all, though?
There's a screen. Kicks it to
Showed it.
11 feet away. And that's
Good enough.
They got on this for a while ago, and they just haven't looked back. Spurs have gone a lackluster 3 of 9 from the field since halftime.
My favorite team of all time to play with on this game is probably that 86 Celtics team with Larry Bird and Danny Ainge, Kevin McHale, those guys. Man, you talk about a great team.
Got it up. No good on that last second attempt there.
Me and my wife, we have some battles with that one. She'll always pick the 95-96 Bulls team, which is, of course, regarded as the greatest team in the history of the game, and you know, rightfully so. I mean, how could you argue with a team that, like, they only lost, 10 times the whole year? And Michael Jordan was, I mean, probably still in his prime. I mean, I guess you could call it the twilight of his career at that point, but hard to argue with the results. They were an outstanding team, but yeah, my wife will always pick those guys, and we'll always play at Chicago. I always give her home court advantage, and let's just say those are fun. Won't go into too many details about it, but it's very entertaining. I love playing the game with her. She gets so pissed. I love you, honey. All right, let's do this.
Big Daddy in at center. Gordon out there with Lou Williams. And there's Bekovic. And it's Brewer in at the position. So that's the lineup for Minnesota.
Virtually uncontested. It's nice to be able to add to the lead without really having to work for it.
And here's Mills. Pass to Green. They get a hand on it. Anderson kicks to Mills. No good on the triple.
He certainly didn't take advantage of the poor defense, but they can't count on him to continue missing. No, that's for sure, because this guy's too good of a shooter to miss that look consistently.
Wow, that was only my 4th rebound. Man, slacker. Gotta get busier, man. Oh yeah, he was in the shooting motion.
And now we'll get perspective here.
Yeah, watch him miss.
Boy, defensively, they played with
Well, I stand corrected.
all the steals we've seen. Really a result of that aggressiveness. They worked hard tonight at crashing the boards as well. They've had a bunch of second chance points.
And that's good.
Gotta nail the freebies.
Spurs trail by 14. He feeds it to Green. There's the pass to Mills. And he comes off the screen to bury the jump shot. A little over a minute of the 4th quarter gone right now.
Yeah, get on up here with that.
Here's Big Daddy. Bekovic with a screen.
Oh, here it comes.
And this sort of awesome dunk is one of the reasons this team
Come fly with me.
is right now.
You know, for a second or two. Whatever happened to the 2K Insider guy? The guy on, I think it was, I want to say it was 2K11. Little smart ass. If you were playing 2K11 and you were sitting and just, you know, watching your home menu of your MyPLAYER mode, this guy would randomly pop in and talk smack to you pretty much every 20, 30 seconds, it seemed like. Guy was like a omnipotent know-it-all wannabe. At one point, I figured the guy would reveal himself, and it would be some kind of cool twist at the end of that first year or whatever, whenever you reach the apex of your career. But not so. But yeah, that guy would always come in with these random musings, and much like the assistant coach of this game, he would be the guy that you'd want to reach in the screen and slap around like a damn bitch from time to time. Tired of hearing that fool's mouth. But at least that guy was funny from time to time. Assistant coach in this game, you just want to take him out to the woodshed and beat him down with a baseball bat. Well, I don't know, maybe not that bad, but he does get annoying. I'll leave it at that. I've gotten many a technical foul for using foul language, yelling at that guy. That is one thing they improved in this year's game. 2K14 was really bad about that. Oh my God! If I was playing that game, I mean, I literally trained myself not to curse at all when I was playing that game. One of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life. But one of your friends come over, or your wife's in the room, or whatever, oh, that changes everything. You know, especially if you're playing a tight game and, you know, you're in one of those crunch situations where every possession matters. All it takes is for somebody to be like, hey, man, check out this fucking bullshit. The other day I was beep. You hear that whistle, technical foul. Foul language. Always gives the team at least one shot and the ball back. And when you're in a crunch situation, oh, man, you talk about wanting to reach over and slap somebody. They've drastically improved that this year's game. So that's a really cool improvement. Yeah, that was a weak dunk. Well, aftermath wasn't so bad. Anytime you dunk and somebody falls down, it's usually considered a pretty triumphant dunk, but felt like he could have slammed it down with a little more authority there. But yeah, going back on that foul language thing, last year's game, I mean, there were times where I said things like, "Oh man, it's getting late, I gotta go to bed soon," and I'd hear the whistle. I mean, you get called for stuff that didn't even resemble a curse word. So they've definitely reduced the sensitivity on it for 2K15, which is awesome. I totally just got owned on that one. I fully realized that.
Right where it needed to be.
Timberwolves have gone an outstanding 4 of 5.
Now let's see what we can do.
Shots good.
Yeah, whatever.
Just seems like they're finding an open lane to the hoop every time down. It's 5 buckets.
I really want to get a spectacular dunk in before the end of this.
Defenders have to show more fight on the interior.
That way I can share it with all my friends.
Outside Green.
Speaking of which, those of you that follow my Twitter account, you've probably seen pictures from this game pop up from time to time.
5 points now this quarter.
And again, those are some of the comments. They're like, dude, you really don't look like a guy who likes basketball. Yep, I agree. Another stupid play.
Out of bounds is San Antonio.
You're getting cocky, Mario.
Where was he going with that pass? That's just an awful turnover.
But yeah, I do. I'm a fan. Like I said, there's a certain art form to the game of basketball for me, and I think that's what draws me to it. There's just a certain stylistic way the game is played, and I don't know. To me, it's artistic. So there you have it. Oh, there's one block. Finally.
With the 3. Eyes yet again. Splitter dishes to Diao.
I was all sorts out of position there. They almost got it down to single digits. Let's see if we can do something about that. Pops is not happy, folks. Well, you talk about a character. How about Coach Popovich over there? Gives some of the best interviews I've ever heard in my life. Love hearing that guy respond to reporters, man. Oh, that's some entertaining stuff. Dorsberg has a horror story about him. One of the times she interviewed him, I think it was halftime, and says she almost broke down crying on national television because he embarrassed her so much. And all he did was give her a one-word answer for both questions. I think he said shoot, or something like that. Either shoot or make shots or something to that effect. And left her in such an awkward silence and awkward pause, she almost started crying.
Timberwolves leading by 11. The Big Daddy passes to Wiggins.
I like Dorsberg, by the way.
For the Spurs, this one's
I much prefer her over, oh God, what's that one lady? Beth Mowins, something like that. Oh Lord, if I ever hear another game called by her, it's almost as bad as listening to Stephen Smith ran his ass off about dumb shit. Well, the mute button never got so much exercise.
I agree, Stephen. This is a game where the defense, Clark Steele specifically, generating a lot of opportunities.
And it created extra possessions for him too, Kevin. Scoring
But Beth Mowins has called our annual rivalry game in this state, the Louisville-Kentucky football game, past 2 years now. I just want to take this opportunity to publicly thank her for that, and to let everybody know what a treat that was.
And the Timberwolves take on 2 more.
Well, this is going to seal the deal. They've really exploded here to the finish line. Once they sniffed out
And this game is winding down.
killer instinct came
Don't
right
have a
out.
lot of time here to get that spectacular dunk in. I did get one earlier.
Outside,
That may have to be good enough here.
outside Leonard.
Well, playing 6-minute quarters, I guess these stats are...
Hard to shoot.
These will suffice.
Here's the teardrop. Parker's shot is off.
And I am going to totally be a dick here.
Pass to Big Daddy.
At least I'm going to try. Screw it.
And again, it's Minnesota converted.
A little bit more
Son of a bitch.
to cheer about as they get ready to celebrate the win.
All right.
They can already start to celebrate, Steve.
Live to play another day.
Let their team hear it. They were good.
So it's Minnesota winning this one easily. Not much to be critical of with this win, Clark.
Not at all. They showed up not just to play. They showed up to give great effort and to win, and they did both.
And that'll wrap it up for Clark Kellogg.
And this is NBA 2K.
2K crew.
If you're watching this video, I don't think there's much of a chance that you haven't played the game, but if you are, If you've ever thought about picking the game up, I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. If you're any type of basketball fan whatsoever, I think you'll enjoy it. If you're very familiar with the game already and I didn't show you anything new, I hope you enjoyed my silly, random, all over the place commentary. Hope it cured a little bit of boredom for you. And I guess we're done. So this is LK signing off. Thanks for watching, and we'll holler at you guys soon. Have a good day, people.